Welcome to the HouseLux Estate channel, your premier destination for insightful business and financial knowledge. Here, we decode complex financial concepts and unravel the intricate workings of the business world. Our mission? To empower you with a deeper understanding, shedding light on the strategies that shape corporations and economies alike. So buckle up as we take you on a fascinating journey through a maze of financial wisdom and business acumen. Today, we delve into the intriguing world of interest rate swaps and how they impact corporate strategies. Before we dive deep, let's simplify what interest rate swaps mean. Imagine you're at a coffee shop with a friend. You both order different beverages, but halfway through, you decide to swap drinks because your friend's coffee is hot while your iced tea is cold. This is similar to how interest rate swaps work. Interest rate swaps are essentially an agreement between two parties to exchange interest payments. One party pays a fixed rate, and the other pays a floating rate. This might seem a little complex, but let's break it down further. Let's say we have two friends, Bob and Alice. Bob has a loan with a floating interest rate, which means the amount he pays in interest can change over time based on market rates. On the other hand, Alice has a loan with a fixed interest rate, so her interest payments remain constant over time. Now, Bob is a cautious guy. He doesn't like the unpredictability of his floating rate, and he'd rather have the stability of a fixed rate. Alice, on the other hand, is a bit more adventurous. She likes the potential of paying less if market rates drop, so she would prefer a floating rate. So they decide to swap their interest payments. Bob will pay Alice's fixed rate, and Alice will pay Bob's floating rate. This way, they both get what they want. Bob gets the predictability of fixed payments, and Alice gets the potential benefit of a floating rate. That, in essence, is what an interest rate swap is. It's a financial tool that allows parties to exchange risk and potential reward relating to interest rates. It can be used by individuals, corporations, or even countries to manage their financial risk and take advantage of potential market conditions. With this basic understanding of interest rate swaps, we can now look into how they influence corporate strategies. Interest rate swaps are more than financial jargon. They're strategic tools used by corporations. Now, let's delve into the nitty-gritty of how interest rate swaps shape corporate strategies. Firstly, corporations use interest rate swaps to manage risk. In the fluctuating world of finance, interest rates are as unpredictable as the weather. They can rise and fall, often without warning, and this volatility can significantly impact a company's financial health. So what's the solution? Interest rate swaps. By swapping a variable interest rate for a fixed one, a company can protect itself from sudden spikes in interest rates. It's like having an umbrella on a rainy day. You might not need it all the time, but when you do, you'll be glad you have it. Let's take a hypothetical example. Imagine a company, let's call it Tectonic, that has a significant amount of debt with a variable interest rate. If interest rates rise, Tectonic's interest payments will also increase, squeezing its profit margins. By entering into an interest rate swap agreement, Tectonic can swap its variable interest rate for a fixed one, effectively locking in its interest payments. This strategy helps Tectonic manage its risk and maintain steady cash flows, even in the face of rising interest rates. Secondly, interest rate swaps can help corporations lower their borrowing costs. Each company has its own credit rating, which lenders use to determine the interest rate they'll charge on loans. Companies with high credit ratings can borrow at lower interest rates than those with lower credit ratings. But here's where interest rate swaps come in. A company with a high credit rating can borrow at a low fixed interest rate, then swap this for a variable rate with a company that has a lower credit rating. The end result? Both companies benefit from lower borrowing costs. Now let's consider a real-world example. Back in the late 90s, IBM used interest rate swaps to lower its borrowing costs. IBM, with its high credit rating, borrowed at a low fixed interest rate, then swapped this for a variable rate with a company that had a lower credit rating. This savvy move reportedly saved IBM millions of dollars in interest payments. Lastly, interest rate swaps can potentially increase profits. It might sound counterintuitive, but hear me out. If a company correctly anticipates a decrease in interest rates, it could swap its fixed interest rate for a variable one. If interest rates do indeed fall, the company will benefit from lower interest payments, potentially boosting its profits. For instance, in the early 2000s, when the Federal Reserve was cutting interest rates to stimulate the economy, many companies swapped their fixed interest rates for variable ones. Those that did saw their interest payments decrease, freeing up more cash for other business activities and potentially boosting their profits. As we can see, interest rate swaps play a critical role in shaping corporate strategies. They provide corporations with a means to manage risk, lower borrowing costs, and potentially increase profits. So next time you hear the term interest rate swap, remember, it's not just financial jargon, it's a strategic tool used by corporations around the globe. Though beneficial, interest rate swaps are not without risks. Let's delve into some of those potential pitfalls now. Firstly, there's the risk of market volatility. Interest rates can fluctuate wildly, and if a corporation is on the wrong side of that swing, it could end up paying much more than anticipated. Imagine if you've swapped for a fixed rate, expecting interest rates to rise, but instead, they fall. You're now stuck paying a higher rate while the market enjoys a lower one. Ouch! Secondly, we have the credit risk. This is the danger that the other party in the swap agreement might default on their obligations. If you've swapped a variable interest rate for a fixed one to ensure predictable payments, but the other party fails to honor their end of the deal, the benefits of the swap evaporate. You're left in a lurch, potentially scrambling to cover losses. Another risk is the legal and operational risk. Swap agreements are complex financial instruments that require careful management. If a corporation doesn't have the necessary expertise or fails to manage the swap effectively, it could face significant losses. Then there's the basis risk. This risk arises when the interest rate being paid and the interest rate being received are calculated in different ways. If these rates diverge significantly, it could negatively impact the profitability of the swap. Lastly, don't forget about the risk of early termination. If the swap is ended before its maturity date, one party might incur costs, especially if the market conditions have changed unfavorably since the swap was initiated. This could lead to substantial financial losses. These are just a few of the potential risks associated with interest rate swaps. Each of these risks can impact a corporation's financial health, making their strategic planning more complicated. It's like trying to play chess during an earthquake. You need to anticipate the moves, but the ground is constantly shifting beneath you. Understanding these risks is crucial for any corporation considering using interest rate swaps. So, as with any financial strategy, it's essential to do your homework and weigh the potential benefits against the potential risks before diving in. Let's recap what we've learned today about interest rate swaps and their impact on corporate strategies. Interest rate swaps, in their simplest form, are agreements between two parties to exchange interest payments. One party pays a fixed rate, and the other pays a variable rate. This financial instrument is a powerful tool that corporations can utilize in their financial strategies. We've discovered how these swaps can be used to manage risk, especially interest rate risk. By swapping a variable rate for a fixed one, a company can ensure constant and predictable payments. This helps firms maintain financial stability in the face of fluctuating market interest rates. On the flip side, we've also examined the potential risks associated with interest rate swaps. As with any financial instrument, they come with their own set of challenges. The risk of counterparty default, for instance, can pose significant threats to a company's financial health. But despite these risks, the strategic use of interest rate swaps can significantly enhance a corporation's financial strategy. By effectively managing interest rate risk, companies can focus more on their core competencies, driving growth and profitability. Remember, understanding these financial tools and their implications is integral to making informed decisions in the corporate world. So, continue to learn, continue to grow, and continue to make strategic decisions that propel your business forward. Thank you for tuning into the House Lux Estate channel. Don't forget to subscribe for more insightful business and financial content.